Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Okay, we're on. Yeah. Hi. I'm Dave. I'm with Lionel. This is Demos with Dave. I don't even know what episode number this was. 20. We're on the big 20, guys. As you can see, I have two very special guests with me tonight. This is a first for the show. I don't think I've had a special guest on the show before, but everybody probably already knows Ryan Kunkel, director of production at Lionel Trains, and our very special audio engineer, Tracy.
Hey.
He's excited to be on camera with me. He's usually behind the camera working the microphone, so that's why the audio is usually messed up for all my shows. He's so happy to be here, let me tell you. We've got some very special topics tonight, and the first one being the Strasburg 9210 Legacy Locomotive. And I wanted to have these two on here to talk about this project since they both went up to the Strasburg Railroad in Pennsylvania to record audio for our new upcoming model. So just felt right to have them on the show. Before we demonstrate the audio and everything else with our sample engines, I want to talk to the guys about both the engine itself and their trip and how everything went and some of the useful content you guys got out of the trip. You spent quite a few days up there, didn't you guys?
We did 2 days, and then I did a second trip, another day and a half.
Yeah, so it was like 4 days total overall, really. What did you guys most enjoy about the first trip up together?
I mean, for me, it was mostly just the experience of experiencing a train of that size, which I had not. So that was all new to me, and being able to record the audio for it, which is something I do. So
yeah, must have been a blast getting up on the engine.
It was.
The cab, talking to the crew.
It was talking to the crew, feeling the heat from the firebox, all the compressor noise, just a lot of stuff happening all at once.
I think you told me that the bell was a lot louder than you were expecting.
The bell was a lot louder than I was expecting, and always playing.
Yes.
No matter what I was trying to capture, I was always getting the bell. So
yeah, they have to play that under a certain speed, right, Ryan?
Well, it's in a variety of circumstances around the station and facilities and so
if
forth.
Moving,
you want that moving around. Yep. I thought it was really neat seeing how the crew there was excited for us to be there and for this model to be coming out as we were to be there and making it right. It was really neat seeing the way, and there's some photos up on the screen right now that illustrate this. The whole team there, I can't say enough good things about the crew at the Strasburg Railroad, and they welcomed us with open arms, and anything we needed went out of their way to help make this model absolutely the best it could. So we would not be able to do this without all of their help and efforts, all the way going back to the initial design phase of this project. But they've reviewed samples, they've critiqued details, and we're just as happy as we were to be there. And we've got Strasburg crew members recorded for the crew talk and everything else. So it was a wonderful time, and it's going to make this model that much more special. And I know it's special for them too, because several of them are anxious to have this arrive for their own layouts.
Speaking of the crew members, who were some of the guys you got to meet, and what characters did they end up contributing?
The day we went up, Sam was the engineer on the train, and he ended up being the voice of the engineer on the model. And then Aaron, I last minute asked him if he would portray the brakeman. So the opening startup sequence is the brakeman and the engineer, and it's those two guys.
That's excellent.
Yeah, it was really great.
So every SKU that we're doing of the Legacy 210 Strasburg engine does have road specific names and road numbers. And we also did a pilot version, which will just be a generic version, but using the same characters, with Tracy being the tower character as well. So really lends his voice, because technically you're a real crew member now that you went up there and ran on the train. So pretty good. One thing that we always do as well is in our new Legacy products, we have the 5 whistle options and the 5 bells. And we'll get to this when we demo this, but the standard whistle for this engine is the real whistle.
The real Strasburg 90.
And it is quillable, so that means Tracy had to record different levels of the whistle. So explain some kind of that process. You had them hold it at certain levels for a certain amount of time, and
Yeah, I mean, for the whistle and the bell, that was one of the only times I had them do something specifically when the train was not moving or in service. But yeah, he did. I would have the engineer do a soft blow, a medium blow, and a loud blow. I'd have him do several of those, and then I can take each of those and pick the one that works best for what I needed it to do.
yeah. What a lot of people probably don't understand is how complex that can get for you, because you have to have the intro, right?
Correct.
And then you have to have transition audios between each of the levels, outro, all of that. So, and overall, there's 32 different
There's
segments.
39 different
39
segments in a
different
quilling
segments.
whistle.
Yeah, which that's a lot of audio to match
That's a
up,
lot.
and does take quite a bit of time.
And
So,
just to add on to what you're saying, one of the more important parts of recording the whistle is to let the whistle tail out. So once it stops, it has to tail and echo in if it does, without having road noise, horse noise, truck noise, whatever. And that's
bell.
Yeah. So we got into a place, I think, before they actually went into service. I think we did the whistle before.
Yeah.
So there were less people around, less traffic, and we just captured the whistle and the bell at that point.
So you recorded the whistle while you're still at the shops.
Yeah, there's a parking lot next to where they had pulled it out. So we weren't in the shop, but yeah, next to the shops.
Yeah, we recorded at the Ready Track. We also tried it out at Gross Grove. I think it might be a little bit more quiet out there.
Nice.
And several times, en route, we tried to get some moving and more candid shots. But like you said, you really needed that stationary, controlled environment. It's not as simple as, you take the microphone to a railroad crossing and wait for the train to go by, and now we've got our whistle.
Right.
It really has to be staged and set up.
Exactly.
And other factors can impact it as well. Like if you have surrounding buildings and you get reverberation versus an open field.
Correct.
So you tried to make sure there was kind of nothing around.
Ideally, I think we captured the blowdown, which is on the model. And I think that was next to a building. And I think we kind of did that specifically because it was even more amplified after it bounced off the building. I mean, it's just amazingly loud. But we did that by a building. Otherwise, yeah, we want to stay away from buildings.
Yeah, because of the reverberation that would impact it. And I assume that's the same with the bell.
Correct.
Yeah. So then the alternate whistles we have on our model, I know a couple of them are pitch variations of 90s whistle, right?
Didn't we do?
I think we did pitched one down.
Yeah, and then the other three are other whistles that I don't remember.
Yeah. So anytime we do a legacy whistle, Tracy actually does all 5 different pitch levels.
Correct.
So you have 39 different segments in a quilling whistle, and then he has to do that 5 times. So you can start to think about how much work goes into just one whistle, right? But we didn't put all 5 pitch variations because it is a legacy model, so we put other whistles into this model as well. A couple of which apply to the other railroads that we've done in this engine.
Yep, and there were also some, because 90's worn several different whistles over the years too. There have been a few specials of those. There was a Reading Hooter on there, I think it was, for a little while. So we had one of those that we used. It's a little bit of a deeper tone. I think we used an SP 5 chime as well, because it's worn that for a little while in the past, or they had one of those that they were playing with a while ago. So I think there might be a Pensy whistle on there too. I know it's worn one of those briefly. And so, it's been known to wear some different whistles over the years, and gives you some variety to change things up.
But the bell, she's only ever really had one bell.
Yeah, you don't typically change the bells out too much.
Right. But there are still the 5 different pitch variations of the bell. So you can choose however you want, but the default bell is 90's bell.
Yeah. And it has a bit more of a unique bell too, because it's got the mechanical ringer on it. So even though it's an air actuated bell, unlike most of the other steam locomotives where all it's moving is the clapper, this actually swings the whole bell. So you do get a different you get almost like a double strike, a different echo. It's a different
it's its own cadence.
Right?
Yeah.
So having that redone for this model was distinctive.
That's great. Really was a lot of different audio picked up on your guys' trip. Your second trip, Tracy, is where you recorded more of the dialogue.
That was where I captured Sam doing the engineer character, Aaron doing the brakeman character, and that might have been mostly it. I might have captured a couple of other. Oh, I got a new coupler
Yep.
on the second trip that I used that's in the model.
Yep.
So we have the 90s coupler as well.
But it wasn't just limited to Strasburg. When you guys went up, you also went across the street to the Museum of Pennsylvania, or Train Museum of Pennsylvania,
Railroad
right?
Museum, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you, Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we had some fun over there too. We recorded a variety of sounds that will be used for sure in future projects. We also were able to get some dialogue recorded there for the upcoming Lion Chief General Great Locomotive Chase set. Two of the restoration chiefs there and experts, Al Martin and Steve Miola, were kind enough to do the dialogue on that.
And they did really great. They were really good at that.
Nice.
It was fun.
And then one of the little diesel switchers you recorded.
Recorded
as well.
the sounds of the Plymouth. We recorded the sound of the turntable.
Yeah.
Just things like that. You'll never know what we can use down the road. So, got a few more horns and bells and whatnot, and good stuff to add into the sound library. The more we have, the more we can use.
Yeah, all of it's. There's lots of good stuff that we could use in the future on other products.
Which we're actually already going to use because we have the separate sale Lion Chief 44 tonner that we're going to use some of that Plymouth sound with. The engine's right there if you want to grab it real quick, Tracy. We'll just show it to them on camera. But what are some of the sounds you're using on this guy?
That one was the Plymouth switcher that was in the yard at the museum. So it's the motor, the bell, which is a fast bell, which we all
Very
kind of
quick
like.
bell,
It's very fast, and the horn.
Yeah. So it might not be true to 44 tonner, but it is new or audio for us that we can use. And being in the Lion Chief level, we thought it was really good quality. And that was another thing I can comment about your guys' trip. And everything you recorded was very high quality compared to some of the older stuff that we have, simply due to updated technology, right?
Yeah.
I think we'll let the locomotive speak for itself, and hopefully it translates over the microphones and everything we have set up here. But I am not the audio guy, but I know as soon as we started hearing the sounds come out of the locomotive, I could tell an immediate dramatic difference in the quality, the crispness, just the overall tone of the sounds that we were getting out of here versus previous recordings. I think people will definitely hear a difference. Not only is it all from the actual locomotive, but of course we'll reuse some of these sounds going forward in other product. The compressor, the blowdown, the generator, all those sounds can be recycled. There's just a much better quality in sound. Tracy did an amazing job with the newer recording equipment that we have, and this will not sound like the other legacy steam locomotives in your roundhouse for sure.
So they're probably all antsy to listen to it now. So I guess we should throw it up on camera and get to demoing it. Without me bumping some other stuff. So we got it up on screen. I don't get to be at the controls today, which is probably a good thing given my past technological skills on this show.
Sadie, before were there any questions before we dive into the locomotive itself?
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, if we do the demo and any more questions pop up, just enter them in, and after we get through doing the demo, we'll take a look to see if there are any. I'm gonna
start with the startup.
Start with the extended sequence, which is really kind of probably the most unique startup we've ever done as a company.
Yeah, all new stuff here.
Terminal brake master C90. We have good initial terminal brake test on timetable train number 1. Over. That's a Roger. 90 has good initial terminal brake test on timetable train number 1. 90 out.
That's the shortest one.
Yeah. So there are actually a number of startups. How many are there, Tracy?
Should be 4 variations.
Yeah. So the background sounds of the locomotive won't start until the longest one has played. So there might be a little bit of a delay between the dialogue and the actual startup of the background sounds of the locomotive. Now, sitting here on the track, you're going to notice right away that you hear the air compressor quite a bit, right, guys?
Yes.
And that's realistic to what you experienced there.
I was amazed at how loud the thing was all the time. I mean, even when the train was at speed, you could feel the whole engine vibrate with it as it was going.
Right.
So I got a ton of that recording and used just a little bit of it, but it's just overwhelmingly loud.
Yeah. A lot of air needed for them brakes, huh, Ryan?
Yeah. It's ever present on the locomotive. You're always hearing that thumping away, and it was one thing we actually added more to as we started going with it.
Yep. Well, since I already made a mistake and bumped the bell, we might as well play that.
Yeah, go for the bell.
And so that's the default bell, how she actually sounds. Like we said, we do have the 5 different pitch levels, so I'll just go through them real quick. All right, really great sounding bell, and like Ryan stated earlier, you can tell that it has a very unique cadence to it with the mechanical swinging bell. So let's play some of the dialogue real quick, because I think on this whole project, that's probably my favorite part, is having the not only the road specific and road number specific dialogue, but also just the unique characters we were able to add to this project.
J-Tower, this is SRC number 90. We're all made up. Am I clear outbound? Over. Please hold at your location. Out. J-Tower, this is SRC number 90. We're all made up. Am I clear outbound? Over.
I always love that.
You're clear to proceed east. Out.
So there's a number of dialogue choices here, and it's random. So sometimes when you push the button, you get the same one. But press an aux 1, and then the dialogue button gives you a different kind of a selection as well.
We're loaded up on the Go Rocks. 90 out.
Go Rocks, what are that?
That was a good one that Sam gave me that I had to put in there. It was really good.
Yeah, good for Cole. And then the 7 key gives you unique announcements as well.
Frequent SRC 90, we have good continuity on train 1. Over.
That's scooping coal,
Yeah,
mining coal. That was a good one we got.
Mining coal, huh?
That's what they
called
said.
it. They got a lot of unique terms for things, don't they?
It's going to be running a little long if we don't move on soon.
Then we got some of our standard stuff thrown in there as well. And then Tracy said that one of the big sounds was the blowdown. So there's some volume to that.
There is.
And I bet it was equally as impressive in person.
It was, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the water fill is our standard sound.
But I modified the
Yeah.
beginning and the end to
Water's
actually
full. 90 out.
the lid on the top of the tender actually opening and closing.
Yeah, very unique sounds. Very squeaky and clanky, probably like Ryan getting up in the morning.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'll go through the whistles next. There's a surprise feature I want to share, but we should go through the whistles first.
All right.
It sounds familiar. That's a loud whistle.
It is. The ground shakes.
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't have the smoke on here, but obviously this engine comes with whistle steam as well as stack smoke. But we don't need any smoke filling the air with these 3 big guys in this room already. But I'll step through the different variations. So that's the default whistle of 90. And then number 2 through 5, I'll go through them. Haunting. Well, some very good choices.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they all sound good on her. But for any of those who have ever been on the 90 or on the trip, have experienced what they call the ghost whistle, and we'll give us a little history on that, Ryan.
Well, that's they get to the crossing at Carpenter's, and there's a nice reverb off of the mountain. So the story they tell on the trip is the story of the Lancaster, Oxford, and Southern Railroad in the next valley over, and this being the answer back of the ghost train from long ago. But it's just a neat feature and kind of a hallmark of the trip. So we've included that here, right?
Yeah, we definitely included that. So on the Cab 2 remote, you'll be able to use the aux 3 key, or in the upcoming Cab 3 app, it'll have the aux 3 key as well. And that's going to initialize the ghost whistle sequence here. So let's go ahead and let's give that a listen. That's a fun one. Now, if you've ridden on the train, you know that there is dialogue that goes along with it, which we may have recorded and may be using in an upcoming product, right, Ryan?
Yeah,
Maybe.
so just need to
Possibly.
need to do a Strasburg Station Sounds Diner.
Oh,
at some
don't give
point, I
away
would think,
too
right?
much.
Well,
Man,
it's not like we're going to put it in a boxcar.
we might. But yeah, for the engine itself will come with the whistle, and a future product may have the dialogue with it. All right, very great. And just so everybody knows, it does have the other standard legacy features now, including the bicolor marker lights on both the engine and on the rear of the tender. I already talked about the smoke units. We've gone over all the audio features. All the lighting features are pretty standard. Electric coupler on the rear of the tender. And really mostly brass construction with the frame, the steam chest, and the cab die cast. Just really an all new engine for Lionel from top to bottom, all new tooling. We did make some design changes after we showed these first samples. On these samples here on camera, you'll see the drivers. We did increase the diameter of the drivers on these samples. We had to cut new tooling to make that modification, so they are closer to prototype. But we have made some other changes on the design that will ship that are not shown in the models here on camera. I believe one of the changes was the crosshead.
Yeah, the universal linkage on the crosshead
Yep.
Was moved down to its proper location.
Yep.
After our last trip there. So the biggest one was the driver change, because that wasn't just changing some Lost Wax castings. That was actually retooling the frame and the driver is a good part of the engine.
As well as
to get them
retuning it. So when we do engine code, we have to tune them to certain speed parameters, and the diameter of the wheels definitely affects that. So it was a good change to make. It definitely looks better with the bigger diameters drivers. So, and lastly, the other change that we made that's not shown here, but originally we designed it with the switches underneath the cab. But I think everybody can agree that it's better to have the switches up under one of the domes. So we'll be putting the switches under the sand dome in the front there. So another great change to the tooling, how it will ship. So I think a really fun project and an all new, exciting audio sound set that will also give us other sounds for future projects as well.
Yeah.
So, and we may be having other trips in the future, right?
I hope so.
Now that
believe
we've seen
me.
how good the sounds turn out,
Yeah.
we'll definitely need to make some more trips.
Yeah.
Ride some more trains.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
Totally look forward to it.
It's the hard part of the job, but someone's got to do it.
Sadie, are there any Strasburg 90 specific questions?
Roll up. Will the smoke box door open?
I believe it does. Oh, you know what? It might not. No, this one doesn't on this model. I couldn't remember. We do have so many models.
Is there any plan for a second run with extended smoke box?
Yes, we will do another run of these locomotives, and the extended smoke box is planned for the future.
Somebody asked about a ghost whistle.
Well, there you
That.
go.
Mhm.
We have a lot of wows and amazings.
That's good.
Cool.
Lots of really great feedback.
I'm glad you guys are all excited about this as much as we are. I mean, a lot of work has gone into this locomotive, and rightly so. I mean, it's a model that's never been done in O scale before. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, in other
Pretty much
scales
so.
as well,
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised it took until this
Until now.
long for it to be made.
Custom 90 chuffing sounds.
Yes, the chuff was recorded as well, right?
The chuff is not.
The chuff is okay.
No, when Tracy, you said you were recording the chuff, it was very subdued.
It was much more subdued than I expected.
Yeah.
But it was also a situation where the bell was always playing.
Right. So that made it difficult to really get in the good chuffing sounds.
Yeah.
Plus, you never really probably heard it under heavy load, and all that's kind of required to do a new chuff on legacy locomotives, especially when you're able to change the labor rate and everything. So,
Movable firebox door similar to the 3000 class models.
no, this one is cast, but it is brass,
Mhm.
but it is static.
Yeah,
there is flickering firebox in there,
and there is a ton of detail on that back end.
Yeah, there's a lot of fine detail in there that.
That was one of the things that the crew, I think, liked best was the detail in the back head of it.
Yeah, they kept looking in there.
Yeah, as well as a drop plate. So, good. All right. If you want to switch the camera back to the three handsome mice, I'm going to move the train off, and then we're going to talk about our next project here before we sign off for the night.
Yeah, this one's fun.
Yeah.
This one with Tracy here, and we're talking about the sounds. This is I kind of insisted that we talk about these a little bit because they're so unique and so different. And when I requested this, I had no idea what I was getting us in for. So I'll let you guys take it from there.
Yeah. So in the 2022 Big Book catalog, we do have the Vision Line horse car, as well as the Vision Line reindeer car. I believe there's 2 SKUs for the Vision Line reindeer car, one for Polar, and then one that's North Pole Central, right? Mm-hmm. And then a slew of them, I don't remember how many, of just the standard horse car. Mm-hmm. So there's actually 2 different audio sets here for 2 different animals, horses and reindeer. And let me tell you, I love the horse.
I love the reindeer.
We'll get to the reindeer later.
You can't not laugh with this thing. It's just fun.
But this is all new dialogue as well. So Tracy spent a lot of time getting the dialogue recorded and cut and sized right for our electronics. And one thing that I've enjoyed us doing over the past few years is using in-house voice talent. Mm-hmm. So these cars both have that. And really that brings a lot of new characters to the field without having to rely on outside talent. We can use a lot of the people that work on your trains. Like the character in these cars is actually one of our repair technicians. So the guy that will work on this car, if it's ever broken, is the guy that's voicing the car. So just an example of how we kind of keep it all in the family here. So. Let me go ahead and start that up if you want to change the camera over to that, Sadie. Nope. I forgot to change it off of the 90.
That's Roger. 90 has a good initial terminal brake test on timetable train number 1. 90 out.
This wouldn't be a Demos with Dave if I didn't mess something up. Right? And now we got to wait for it to start and then turn off. I just really wanted to hear that extended startup again.
Oh yeah, the dynamo is authentic.
Yeah. Oh, the dynamo too. Yeah. Footnote. All right, now we'll start up the horse car.
Let's get them to the races.
Oh, this sounds fun. You want to talk about horse cars, Ryan? Why we chose to do this one?
Because it's something we haven't really done before.
Right.
Something new and different. I like mixing in things into the product line that are a little outside the norm. Mm-hmm. And racehorse cars were actually quite common at one point on the railroads. A lot of different rail lines had them. They're great for modeling because you don't need a whole fleet of them. One will do, and they traveled all over the country. So you didn't necessarily have to buy the one that goes with your favorite rail line if you wanted to mix and match. It's very prototypical to do so. Each railroad was a little bit unique because obviously they were sort of a one-off car, but all generally had similar features and details. So we want sort of a generic overall car using some of the tooling we already had, but all new sound sets to give the experience of loading and resting and unloading your racehorses as they would travel across the country. And these cars would get put into whichever train was serving the right schedule. So whether it was 20th Century Limited or whatnot, they would tack this on because you wanted the fastest travel times possible.
Well, we even did an REA, right? Which can literally go with any
also
train.
Did an REA version, would go with any train. And then as more and more horses started traveling by air instead of by train, a lot of the cars got converted over to baggage service, or they would see service in routine baggage service as well when they weren't needed specifically for a racehorse. So you got a lot of use out of the car.
So this is actually part of our 21-inch line of passenger cars, but this itself is an 18-inch car with the 6-wheel trucks underneath it, which is closer to prototype.
Yes, most of them, because of the load and also making sure you gave as smooth a ride as possible, had 6-wheel trucks.
Now, the electronics in these cars are based off our Vision line stock car. We did one last year that had the quilling cow. And then this year we're doing one as well with the quilling pig, right?
We get pigs.
We got pigs,
Horses
and
and
horses.
reindeer.
We got so many different animals.
And
We're
more.
just horsing
Oh, we
around.
We didn't get the
here.
quilling pig car out, did we? Sure that-
We'll do that on a future episode
Okay.
because that code hasn't been done yet. So, like,
But I want to show them all the stuff.
you're
Dave.
being a pig in a playpen, Ryan. It's better than my office. It looks like a pigsty. But even though these cars are in the passenger car series, we actually did the code for these based off those freight cars, which means when you program these into your remotes, they do need to be programmed as a freight sounds car and not a passenger car. And that'll all be in the manual. So just a quick heads up. So these will actually have the buttons for the, if I actually program it correctly, we'll have the load and unload buttons, which is kind of a very unique experience, right, Tracy? You can hold down the load key and it just keeps playing the different scenarios, the different dialogues. And then when you move it and then stop it, it's kind of like an intermittent stop and you get a different set of dialogue.
Yeah, so it's like for the horse car, the first stop would be, to feed or water or walk the horses, because there's a certain amount of time they were required to have to walk before traveling again. So there's the initial load, you travel a ways, there's the first stop, which is walking, feeding, watering, and then the third stop does the same thing. And then you can unload.
And then there's the separate unload button, which is the 6 key.
Mhm.
So let me just hold down the 3 key, and as long as you hold it down, it'll just keep playing the different scenarios. So let me hold down the 3 key for a while so you can hear some of the sounds. Did I mess up the remote again?
Freight sounds?
Yeah, it's freight sounds.
Okay,
There we
we're
go.
ready. Give them the go. Get them ready. Line them up. Throw a couple extra hay bales in there. Make sure those water tanks are full. Come on, boy. Watch that step. Good boy. Make sure those water tanks are full. This stall's taken. Switch those gates. Come on, get them on.
I like that you can hear the hooves on the doors or the ramp and all of that,
And
Let's
the
keep
flies.
moving.
and the flies. I'm sure there'd be plenty of those.
There's plenty of flies.
Come on, get them on. All right, we're done here. We got a rest stop next. So let's go.
So then you would move the train, and when it comes to a stop, the train would know that you're at an intermediate stop, and would give you different dialogue lines if you were to repeat what I just did. And then there's also the unloading. So this is when the horses arrived at the track and they're ready for the races.
The drover gave us the all clear. We're good. All right, give the girls some room.
One unique feature Tracy implemented here in the background is the actual sound of the PA system at the racetrack.
Yep, I think that was a lot of fun to put that in there because it feels
Careful,
more authentic.
watch those gates. We gotta stop slacking off. Let's rein it in.
Ah.
Let's go play some bets. Come on. That's how we do it.
So a lot of fun dialogue here, and I am only touching on a small portion of it. These are one of those kind of products where you really have to play with it a lot to get through everything that it has to offer. So, but obviously the star of the show here is the quilling horse, which is my favorite feature out of anything we've ever done. I just love horsing around. I could just sit here and play with that all day. I really could.
Oxford.
And then, yep, Ox 3. I
My
will get
favorite.
into
That's-
it.
okay,
Yeah, you're
sorry.
just you're
It's my
jazzed
favorite.
about it. But I mean, what horse race would be complete without this?
Yay.
Yay! So a really excellent car. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, if you're not having fun with this on your layout, you're not doing it right.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah,
that's
that's
true.
for sure. And I'm sure Ryan feels the same way about the reindeer, which I guess we can talk about next.
Yes, I want to hear the quilling reindeer.
What possessed you to do this car?
I don't know, but I am so glad that I did because it's just fun.
And when you chose to do this, did you know what a reindeer sounded like?
Not exactly.
I didn't think so.
Does anybody know what a reindeer sounds like?
Yeah, really. We should take bets before we play it.
It's now my spirit animal, though. I think that it's just unique. Yeah, it brings a smile to my face every time.
I bet. But the base code is set up the same as the horse car, so you're going to have the loading and unloading sequences. Obviously, they're not taking the reindeer to a racetrack. Instead, they're prepping them for
Go
The trip back north.
yep,
go to
going
the
back
North Pole.
north. So this is after presents have been delivered.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is the end of the night on the 25th. The reindeer are tired. You don't want to have to fly all the way back. So
So where's Santa going while the reindeer are on the train?
I'm sure he has a private car at the back of the train somewhere.
Ah,
Some
gotcha.
eggnog and
Luxury.
yeah.
Some special cookies.
And we did the box cars, the indoor box cars in the catalogs as well. So the sleigh has a place to go.
Oh, that slays.
Mhm.
All right, it's gonna be a long day. Let's go.
It's gonna be a long day, all right. Anytime Ryan Kunkel's around. So got that started up. I think what I forgot to do was actually set these as the Freight Sounds cars. So here we go.
Get them ready, line them up. Throw a couple extra hay bales in there.
I hear some sleigh bells in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, boy, watch that step. Good boy.
They're walking pretty fast. Someone could say they're hoofing it.
Put those blinkers and rolls in the locker with the brushes.
Oh,
Get
there's
them
that,
ready, line them
What
up.
was that?
that dying beast.
All right, we're done here. Now let's get to that first stop.
Now this will have intermediate stops as well, just like the horse car, and then obviously the unloading sequence once they get back to the North Pole.
Arrived at the North Pole. Let's
Yep.
get them unloaded. All righty. Wait, where's Blitzen? Watch out, Cupid will fight you. Don't drop that lead. That's how it's done.
Very fun.
Okay, do it.
All right,
Reindeer.
fine. You're just waiting for it, aren't you? All right, so this is the quilling reindeer, if there is such a thing. It sounds like a chicken and a centaur dying. Like
It sounds like you and I at lunch. I don't know what you're
that's for
talking
after
about.
lunch. Yeah, but this is an actual reindeer
We
recording,
found that
right?
I believe so.
We're gonna go with it.
Yeah,
It's what Ryan wanted.
Mhm. If you aren't laughing and having fun with this, you're not my friend.
How many other people in the world can say they got paid to make a quilling
Quilling
reindeer?
I think I'm the only one that has been.
You
paid
are
to
a
do it.
unique person in history.
And I'm sure the entire engineering team just loved it as you were looping that sound
Oh, yeah.
over and over again.
I made sure to leave the door open for those.
Man, I won't talk about it.
Yay.
That's just your little train whistle on Ox 3 key. So yeah, another fun car.
Coupler.
And oh yeah, the squeaky coupler.
Yay.
We gotta have a squeaky toy. So
Oh, sure, that you like, but the quilling reindeers just not doing it for you.
that's because I'm logical.
Yeah, squeaky toy coupler makes sense.
Yep. All right, you can turn that camera off. very fun projects that we got to discuss tonight. I want to thank both of you for coming on the show. I know it's past hours, and I always like to do this at night because I am more of a night person. Plus, one of us isn't exactly a camera person.
I am
not. Ryan's pretty used to it.
But I've survived. So.
Yes. It was a very good show. Any questions come up, Sadie, about the cars?
A lot of how when are they delivering?
Well, start with 90, Ryan. When do you think 90's delivering?
We should have pre-production samples of 90 and Deco by the end of this month, and I believe they will be in production then through July.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll see those. The shipping schedules have been a little bit better this year than last year.
Still
I
about
think
60 days, though, right?
45 to 60 days.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably looking at a September arrival on those.
Yeah. And I know that's quite a ways after these were announced in the C2 catalog last year. But remember, this is all new tooling as well as all new recorded audio. And sometimes those projects just take longer.
Yeah, especially when we tell them to change half the stuff after the
Yeah, we did change half the parts. Mm-hmm. And then for the reindeer and horse cars?
Those code is done on those. I believe they're getting ready to start the deco on those soon. They'll probably be maybe just a little bit behind or right around the same time as the brass 210Os, but certainly in time for Christmas. I don't think there'll be any issues getting them here before the holiday season.
Yeah, I'd expect all of these to be here late summer, early fall.
Mm-hmm. Early fall is a pretty safe bet right now.
Yeah.
And they said you should make a Santa Claus private car.
Santa
Claus private car. I think we've got another.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like the obs.
Yeah,
it could be sitting in the back.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to make a car too with a sleigh on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll go inside the boxcar.
Oh.
Yeah. Several asking about 89 or 475 in the future.
Down the road, anything is possible.
No smirking. It's giving things away.
Yeah. I haven't gone over and grabbed any of the, Class A samples or the 210-4 samples. I've been very behaved tonight. I'm saving enough material for your next show.
F units over here. We've got so many other things that I need to do another show on.
There is candy all around this office.
There is, and they're not allowed to see any of it tonight. But I will definitely be going over more of these products in a future episode. Mm-hmm. Sadie loves to bust my chops on making another episode all the time. Just how it is. So, But again, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thanks again to Ryan and Tracy for guest showing, and thank you to Sadie for being behind the camera and dealing with us three lunatics. So we'll see you all on a future episode, and thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.